Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. What I want to talk about in this little video is a project we have that we started about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. This is during the early parts of the pandemic. We were having these weekly streaming meetings, and through fits and starts and so forth, we finally came up with I think, a reasonable project and an interesting one too. I think they call it the Retrograde Minute Jumping Hour Project, and the purpose was to create an affordable watch with a world-class movement featuring a unique operation. The unique operation is the jumping hour and the retrograde minutes. The world-class movement we're hoping is going to be by Agonor, which I'll be doing a separate video on that. They've accomplished so much. Now, we finally have some options, and this is what we're looking at, and this is still very much up in the air, very much dependent on a lot of different variables. All three of these options will have a module by Agonor with the retrograde minutes and the jumping hour. So that'll be one concept, but there are different ways that we can achieve this goal depending on what the number of people we get involved in these different ones. I think we're going to be able to have to decide on one and go with it. The first one is to use an ETA 2892, and then Agonor would provide the jumping hours and the retrograde. This is just for the movement. This would cost around 4,000 Swiss francs, which is roughly $4,000, a little more than that right now. The second would be a Voiture VMF 3000, and then add, again, this would be like the first one, except instead of using an ETA, would be using a Voiture. And this one would be approximately, and these are very approximate numbers, around 5,000 Swiss francs. Like I said, it's a little over $5,000. Now the third option, and this is the one I think that so far we've had the most positive reaction on, was to modify Agonor mechanical movement and integrate most of the complication in the thickness of the movement. Now, what we'd have with the Voiture and the ETA would be to pop the retrograde movement and jumping hour on top, with the Agonor taking one of their movements that they have and modify it. They could integrate it into the movement. It would be thinner. So now, the ETA one Voiture would be about 3.9 millimeters thick, and the Agonor option would be about 3.7 millimeters thick. Okay, so that's the first thing we got to get a decision on. And basically, what we can do is we can spread this out, and once we decide on one, we'll get it and then go to the next step. Now, the next step that we've been looking at is the case, and the one that we liked, we had seen I've seen this case in Voutilanen watches, as well as Ophion, who went to a company called Voutilanen and Caton in Switzerland and had them make this movement with, we like the teardrop lugs on it to give it an interesting flavor to it, we thought. Now the final part, we were looking at an enamel dial, and turns out there's a company not far from where I live called VS Dial, and they make enamel dials, and plus to me the hard part would be putting on the numbers on top of it and so forth. So this is I'm going to be meeting with the head of this and ask him, if he can do what we want, which looks like the first one that we had, something like this. Now this is not the final one we have, but initially we had one that went from 9 to 3 for the retrograde minutes. And some of the people I've talked to said, well, why don't we shift it over to more like from about 11 to 4. And so that's something that we're also considering. And whatever we decide to put on the watch itself. Anyway, that's where we are now. We've been discussing this on the live streams that we have on Saturday. So if you're interested in this project, here's a way to get a like $20, $30, $40,000 watch for a lot less. But anyway, that's where we are right now. Love to hear from you. Let's hear some ideas that you have. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.